Why do you want to sit on Detroit City Council?
Oh, because I think I would be very effective. My background in volunteerism, activism, and advocacy for residents would prove beneficial to the citizens and to the city, as well as my business background in supplier cost reduction, purchasing, and also minority and supplier development. Coupled with my both right and left brained would bring me a unique kind of a flavor to the city council. And I'm a native Detroit. It's not enough to say I love the city. Everybody says that, but it's enough to say that I want to actually see it better and grow and be and reach its potential.
So that will lead me into my next question. Detroit is coming out of bankruptcy. What is your strength that you could offer the city to bring it out of bankruptcy and put it on a financial standing, and a qualification that you may have that the other candidates wouldn't?
Okay. It would be that business background, the background in terms of understanding and having done a myriad of lean production workshops and processes with small suppliers as well as with large suppliers, helping them identify cost. I led one of the most effective and successful supplier cost reduction efforts called SCORE before we became Daimler Chrysler, and it was the program that had Chrysler save billions of dollars back when we were able to pass some of that on to the employees with high profit sharing. We'd pass them on to the customers by actually enhancing the car and actually keeping the cars at the same price. And one of the other things we're able to do is, which is one of the big benefits at working with the Chrysler, was we actually were able to do a lot more community outreach. So while I was able to do a lot of things that were business and professional, one of the big benefits at Chrysler was the ability to leave your office, you know, during the day and go and volunteer at a high school or school in the city of Detroit. So the fact that I understand process-driven things, and as my bosses would always say, was a conscious of the department with that people skill and be able to garner and be able to galvanize people to work together, that purchasing background. I put together something called a dream team where I had competitive suppliers sit in a room and work together because they all weren't going to get the business. So we had to figure out a way, how could you best support your customer who is the plant? And so we kind of divvied up the business. So it was really a combination of understanding how business works, but at the same time understanding how it works and benefits the people.
The current city council, they've had some past issues come to light that have taken away from the work of the Detroit City Council. Would there be anything in your history that, if it were to come to light, could shed a negative spotlight on you and the city and take away from the work?
Wow, skeletons in my closet, so to speak.
Exactly.
I don't think that there are. I can't think of things that are skeletons. We've all had challenges. I certainly have had challenges. My daughter mentioned recently that, you know, Mom, you've had cancer twice. And sometimes I forget that I've had cancer because I've been so blessed to be healthy since then. So it's the little things that kind of get to me. So she says, you've had cancer twice, but you will bug out over the fact that the towels aren't hanging right in the bathroom. And I said, that's a good thing. That's normalizing things for me. There was a point that my daughter and I had a very successful children's bookstore in Corktown that we closed. It wasn't because of bankruptcy. If there is any skeleton, which I don't think is a skeleton, it was because my daughter had some challenges, some very serious domestic challenges that caused us to close that business, that people continuously ask us if we'd reopen because it was incredibly popular. So not to say that I'm perfect. One of the people who did a letter of recommendation for me, though, did say that I was one of those people that she never heard anybody say a bad thing about. And if you talk to people who worked with me at Chrysler, I started as a secretary, was able to go very high as a senior manager, getting a free card on bonus row, and a lot of that was really because of my personality and, like I said, being able to galvanize and get people together. And I always had that ability to get people to do things. So I can't really think of a lot that's been in my background that I would say is a skeleton. And if someone thinks it is, and obviously I think that it was a challenge that I've obviously overcome.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything else you want to add?
Oh, I would just like to say that no matter who wins this open position, I think that the process is one that's inclusive. So I absolutely appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to get my story told and to let people understand that folks who are not politicians, because I've never run. Excuse me, I've never run for anything before, but I've been doing it on the ground, working in Corktown for the last several years. I've working on their patrol, which we've had for almost 20 years now. I do all of the community advocacy and the meetings and work closely with the police. And I've been right now almost finished with a one-year volunteer commitment with AmeriCorps, working in several different neighborhoods, which is also a plus. So I'm all over the city. And so for Martin Luther King weekend, service weekend, Saturday we boarded up 10 homes in the University District. Yesterday, on the actual holiday, we boarded up 15 homes in the Brightmoor district, and that's one of the things that I do a lot of, and so I work a lot with the police and with the city and with the district managers to really make a difference. Working with our police, I have some who call me regularly. I had one call me earlier today. I wanted me to make sure I talk to folks at a meeting that I'm having, and they're generally at my meetings. And volunteering at the schools. My children went to public school, and I do still volunteer a lot at the schools. I'm a big proponent of education. And lastly, I'll say, my parents were both very much into volunteerism. They were either president or vice president of the PTA. They were either superintendent or assistant superintendent in the school. My mother, back in the day, when it was truly March of Dimes, would march the streets and collect dimes for, for children, with March of Dimes. And so they were always doing volunteerism. So I've been a volunteer all my life and working in, whether it's creating, I helped create a support group for African American women, women achieving victory and esteem for women, for African American families of people who had cancer. Because when I first had cancer, it was back in the early 80s, and it was still the C word, especially in the African American community. So I spoke a lot. I actually would call myself the poster child. So I never questioned why I got cancer, but I realized my gift of gab was really that reason. I could go out and talk and let people put a face to it. So it's really a matter of being human and bringing that to the table and not being a politician and just wanting and always working to do what's right. And I will admit that I am over 60, so sometimes the filter's not there, but it's always in the right vein, that if I say something, it's because I feel it, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do something and not do it.